Title: At the family dinner, I asked my wife, "Darling, how about some wine?" She replied, "No, dear, I'm trying to lose a few pounds." I laughed and said, "Or is it because you're taking antibiotics after catching an STD?" Start. I remember the sound of forks against plates, the faint clinking of glasses. It was ordinary. Too ordinary. That's what made the silence that followed my words so sharp, so unforgiving. "Darling, how about some wine?" I asked, casual, as if the evening were untouched by secrets. She smiled, politely, almost rehearsed. "No, dear, I'm trying to lose a few pounds." I leaned back, slow, deliberate. Then I let the blade slip from my tongue. "Or is it because you're taking antibiotics after catching an STD on that last work trip with your boss?" The table cracked open in silence. Her eyes widened, hands stiff on her lap. But it was my eldest daughter who betrayed the family's facade. She froze, her fork suspended. She turned to me, her lips trembling, and whispered, "Daddy, there's something else I need to tell you." Once I believed in her, my wife, the woman I built a life around. We laughed, raised children, fought bills and winters side by side. She was my anchor. I gave her loyalty, trust, everything a man has to give. I thought we were unbreakable. But betrayal never comes from strangers. It comes from the hands you hold closest. It started with absences, extended business trips, perfume lingering on clothes she never wore at home, messages she guarded like state secrets. One night, after she drifted to sleep, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. A name lit up. Richard, work. My pulse slowed. Work doesn't text at midnight. I let the screen glow fade into the dark, but I knew. I didn't explode, I didn't confront. I watched. And in the watching, I learned. Hotel receipts tucked deep in her bag. A prescription bottle for antibiotics, filled under her maiden name. A single strand of hair on her blazer, too blonde to be her own. That was the moment the love didn't die. It calcified into something sharper. Pain is chaos. Revenge is order. I spent weeks assembling the pieces. Quiet, calculated. I copied messages, bank statements, emails. I installed a tracker in her car, a camera in the corner of our bedroom she thought was safe. Every lie she whispered became another weapon in my hands. And I didn't stop there. I met with lawyers, quietly rewrote the will, secured accounts, moved assets. Every penny, every brick of the life I built was tucked safely into my hands. When the storm hit, she would be left with nothing but the ruins she created. I prepared, not just for divorce, but for exposure. The night of the dinner, I was ready. My children around the table, her parents visiting from out of town. The perfect stage. I didn't need to scream. The truth, whispered calmly, wounds deeper than any rage. When I spoke of the antibiotics, I watched her face drain. She tried to laugh it off, her mother gasping, her father's fork clattering against the plate. But then, my eldest daughter, my sweet girl, her voice broke through the silence. "Daddy, there's something else I need to tell you." Her eyes filled with tears. She wasn't looking at me. She was looking at her mother. She knew. Mom knew. When it happened to me. With him. Time fractured, words twisted in the air. My heart slammed against my chest. She wasn't talking about me. She wasn't talking about her mother's betrayal of marriage. She was talking about her mother's betrayal of her own child, her boss, the man she was sleeping with. He had cornered my daughter months ago, and my wife silenced her, protected him, chose her affair over her own blood. That was the real betrayal. The table was no longer just about infidelity. It was about complicity, about my wife's rot sinking into the very bones of my family. She tried to speak, to deny, to smooth it over like she always did, but I had prepared. The lawyer's envelope was in my jacket. Inside, photographs, records, copies of messages where she brushed off my daughter's cries as misunderstandings. I slid it across the table. Her father opened it first. His face turned the color of ash. Her mother gasped, whispering prayers under her breath. My wife trembled, her mask shattered. She knew there was no escape. Every eye turned against her, every bond dissolved. I sat still, calm, because this was the moment I had built toward, not just exposing an affair, but stripping her of the power she thought she had. Within days, papers were filed, assets frozen, custody shifted. Her boss was reported, investigated, and publicly shamed. I didn't need to raise my voice. The evidence screamed louder than I ever could. She tried to call me, to beg, to curse. I let her words rot in voicemail. I watched her life collapse piece by piece. Her job gone, her reputation ruined, her family cutting her off. And the man she betrayed us for? He vanished at the first sign of scandal. I sit now in the quiet of a home that feels lighter without her lies. My daughter safe, healing. My other children learning that silence can be broken and truth can win. People ask if I regret it, publicly humiliating her, dismantling her life. No, regret is for men who lose control. I never lost control. I calculated, I waited, and when the time came, I delivered justice. My wife taught me that betrayal is a choice. I taught her that consequences are too. And at that dinner table, when silence cracked open and truth spilled out, justice finally had its feast.